Alright, y'all, so today I want to make a very quick video to give you my quick thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth. So this is the newest Jurassic Park film that just came out I think last month. I wasn't able to get the chance to go see it in theaters, but I just saw it recently on digital and just kind of wanted to give you my quick thoughts on the latest Jurassic Park film at the time I'm making this video. So to give you a little background, Jurassic Park is a franchise I do quite like. I like seeing dinosaurs on the big screen. I like seeing dinosaurs do things to people, like be monsters and eat people. And in general, there's like just a really cool vibe. It's something so simple, right? I mean, there's nothing too complex with like just seeing dinosaurs on the big screen. But I've always been captivated by it. And Jurassic Park as a franchise is kind of strange because it's a franchise that has been ongoing since the 90s. I mean, there's been like every decade has had a Jurassic Park movie at this point, and I mean, it doesn't look like that's going to stop anytime soon. Despite the fact that like the first movie is kind of a one and done story, to be honest, but that's besides the point. I do like after like I said, I like the first one a lot. Some of the sequels are hit and miss. I mean, I think I like Jurassic Park 3. I don't mind World. Um, but I think an all-time low for the franchise was Jurassic World Dominion. That film was so awful. Like it's the worst in the franchise, and yet it's weirdly like the most bold in its premise, but yet it completely fails and utterly collapses under the stupidity of its writing and plot. I mean, incredibly horrible film. And I was really kind of done with Jurassic Park after that movie, just being honest with you. Like, I was like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to see any more of these movies. The 90s one, the first one's already pretty good. Then they announced that they were going to be making another one, which is Jurassic World Rebirth. And they were getting the same guy who did Godzilla to do it, which Gareth Edwards, I've really liked a lot of his stuff. I liked Rogue One. I liked 2014 Godzilla. I do also like the creators, so most of his work I've liked. So I was excited for him to come onto this movie, and they also got other famous stars like the lady who played Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, and of course they got Mahershala Ali, who is also in this movie. And well, I finally got the chance to see it. And my initial thoughts are it's pretty good. It's at least really a decent Jurassic World movie. I walked out of this movie thinking, it's really solid. Obviously when I compare it to Dominion, this movie is miles above Dominion in terms of quality. The writing is much more solid here. The action, the dinosaur scenes, the premise, everything feels much more grounded, back to formula. It feels much more interesting. Maybe not interesting, but much more, I guess, safe, but not in a bad way. Like it returns the franchise back to its roots. And I really enjoyed that with this movie. But there definitely are some issues. I didn't walk out thinking this movie was like great or anything. And to be fair, like a lot of Jurassic Park movies are not that amazing, to be frankly honest. So I wasn't expecting anything like that, but I was expecting at least a decent time. And I definitely walked out this movie thinking it was a really decent movie. It was really solid and had a lot of good things in it, but definitely wasn't perfect and definitely has issues. So let's get into the pros and then we'll get into the cons later. So the pros. I think this film was really directed very well. I think Gareth Edwards did a good job directing it. The visual look of the film also looks great. I generally think this film visually is like a really like above a lot of the other Jurassic Park movies. The dinosaur selection here is all very unique, different to the series, but I really enjoy the new dinosaurs. Like you have like a Titanosaurus here, which shows up. And I've heard of these dinosaurs before, but having them like appear on the big screen in Jurassic Park finally is fantastic. I really enjoy the scene where you get to see these dinosaurs and they're kind of like in like a mating ritual. Like there's like two of them. And it's generally like an awe-dropping moment in the movie. It's like a standout, to be honest, in the entire series. It's absolutely amazing. I love the way they look, their design, the way the whole scene in that film plays out. It's amazing. Even the big pterodactyl like dinosaur, I cannot pronounce this thing, but the Kozalkus, I can't even say that name, but the pterodactyl, the big pterodactyl in the movie, really cool design. I really like how it looks. I like the whole action sequence with them trying to escape from it as it's like kind of on like the side of the mountain. Really cool stuff. I really like how the dinosaur looks. Like it's an upgraded version of like the pterodactyl scene from Jurassic Park 3. Really enjoyed it. And I think in general, like a lot of the action sequences in this movie really work. There's some of them I do have some issues with, but I think they do capture the thrill, the intensity, and that kind of classic, hanging on to your life, escaping by mere seconds type of dinosaur action scenes that we've been kind of missing from the franchise. I mean, I don't remember Dominion having a lot of those scenes, right? So that was really good stuff. It felt very traditional, back to basics. I like that stuff. In terms of the new dinosaur, now every Jurassic Park movie usually has a new dinosaur, and ever since Jurassic World and 3 and 2, there's always been some kind of new dinosaur that was like a hook for the sequel. And, I like the Spinosaurus in Jurassic Park 3, badass dinosaur. And then they kind of brought in genetically altered dinosaurs in the Jurassic World movies, which I'm a bit mixed on. The one they have in Jurassic World, the Indorex, I like the design of the dinosaur itself, but it's like when you say like a genetically altered dinosaur, it's just not what you pictured it to look like. I mean, it looks like to me a slightly altered T-Rex. Like it has some features that look different, but for the most part, it just looks like a slightly altered T-Rex. And the same thing with the other animal, which was like I think it was called like an Indoraptor, which was in Fallen Kingdom. That was just like a slightly altered raptor, which was very lame. I mean, like I said, I didn't hate those dinosaur designs, but I don't think it really sold me on the whole genetically engineered dinosaur part. And I don't think Dominion really had one. So that being said, when they announced that the new dinosaur was going to be this thing called the D-Rex, I was kind of not expecting much. I figured, well, this thing's probably just going to look like an alternate T-Rex. And man, was I wrong. This thing looks great. They didn't show it really in the trailers, though it kind of got leaked in toy designs. But he looks great in the movie. I like his presence. I like his little build-up in the beginning of the movie. And then he kind of shows up at the end. I really enjoy his design. It looks strange. He's got like these big forearms. And he's got this very weird bulging like head. It looks like a mutant, genetically altered dinosaur that really shouldn't exist, right? It sells me on the premise of these genetically altered freaks of nature. And it looks terrifying. It looks crazy looking. I don't know. I really enjoyed the D-Rex in this movie. Much more than I thought I was going to be honest with you. I really like his design. I think it really was really well done. And in general, too, all the CGI in this film, there's not like, I don't think there's too much practical effects, which is a bit of a shame. But I think the CGI looks pretty good. It looks very, good quality. Looks believable. And I thought also all the actors' performances, for the most part, besides some of the family members, which I'll get into, all did a really good job with their performances. They sold me on the movie and their characters a little bit. But yeah, I think they all did a pretty decent job. And I mean, the pace of this movie is also really solid. It definitely keeps you on your toes. Like there's always kind of a major action sequence always happening in this movie. There's always like that sense of danger and, kind of stakes and like, you're on the edge of your seat kind of watching this movie, which I really miss from like a Jurassic Park movie, that kind of tone. And this movie really kind of gets that tone. I really, like I said, really appreciate that. I think it really works, and a sense of dread and the way some of the horror sequences are done in this movie. Gareth Edwards did a really good job, especially some of the scenes with the D-Rex. I really enjoy them. In terms of other things, the general plot is also pretty decent. They just kind of go to the island to get samples from all these dinosaurs. And I do like the whole plot revolving around, more of an ethical one. Like whether or not, these samples that they're getting, which is used to create some kind of medicine, is going to actually either be sold to this company that's going to give them money, which kind of they make a slight commentary, like some businesses rank up their medicine prices, and the affordability of it goes out the window, or just release it to everybody so everybody can make their own medicine and get it out there on an affordable basis. And of course, they make the right decision at the end to release it to everyone. And I don't know, that slight plot, that kind of subplot, so to speak, that kind of runs throughout the movie. I really enjoy the slight commentary on that, because it is an important one, especially when it comes like a lot of like pharmaceutical companies and them hiking up prices, and people can't afford medicines that actually need them to save their lives, to keep them alive, which is beyond just like not paying bills and stuff. I really enjoyed that slight commentary. My own problem with this, I wish they went with it further. Maybe they had more to say about it, but that was a pretty decent subplot. And some of the other things, like some of the characters, like I mentioned, I like them. I just wish there was more development. And yeah, like I said, pretty solid overall, decent movie. But it's not perfect. And now to kind of get into some of my cons with this film. The family. I really didn't like the family too much in this movie. I think they were trying to go for a vibe like the first Jurassic Park, where Alan kind of got split up with like the other, like his like the kids and stuff, and while the other characters are looking around and doing stuff. I think they were trying to go for that vibe. But just the family, I think, really drags down this movie a little bit. Like every time they kind of show up, like there's like an extended sequence where them trying to survive like a monosaur, which is fine, but it kind of drags on too long. And I don't think in general they're like that much likable characters. The little girl's fine. She's not that annoying. But I thought the boyfriend, which I guess was the vibe already, was really annoying. I didn't like him. I didn't even like the daughter that much. In general, I just felt like the family characters were a bit irritating and drag down the plot, especially when you're trying to learn more about like the Scarlett Johansson's character and the scientist dude and Marasha Ali's character. You're trying to learn more about them, but then we keep cutting back to the family, so it's like it keeps taking away valuable screen time. I get it, like they're kind of there to help raise the stakes and add an element of humanity. And I really like the arc with like Duncan, Marasha Ali's character, who kind of has a thing where like all these characters in the film, including Scarlett Johansson's character, deal with like loss and grief, and like they've lost people. Duncan losing a child, and the main character, I think her name is Zora, excuse me. She lost other people in her life, and she kind of deals with that impact. It's all kind of, like I said, slightly explored, and Duncan's character gets a little bit of payoff because at the end he kind of tries to sacrifice himself to the D-Rex. I did enjoy that kind of plot, but like I said, there's just not enough development into it. All the main characters in this movie needed more development. I feel like the family really kind of drove away screen time. I honestly think they could have just cut them out of the entire film, maybe reworked a few things, and I think the movie would have been a little bit better, at least in my opinion. Like I said, I don't think they ruined the movie necessarily, but I do think they dragged down the movie significantly. Like, I just feel like, man, they're just not interesting characters. You're trying to get all the, like, maybe, like, make the family more interesting. Maybe write them better. Maybe I would care. But it's just kind of like, I don't know. I don't really care about this random family that just happened to be near an illegal island. Which, by the way, like, how stupid. There's even a part of, like, Duncan's character asking, like, why would you bring a child to this area? Which is, like a pretty right point. Like, why would you bring your child next to an island that's been outlawed by the government that you can't go to, that's filled with like carnivorous dinosaurs, like dinosaurs that want to eat you? It doesn't make any sense. And I mean, I get it, like there's tons of dumb humans in Jurassic Park movies, so it's like, I guess it's just a staple of the franchise, but still it's one of those things like I have to roll my eyes at. I'm like, come on, bruh, come on, there's got to be some common sense here. So yeah, like I said, I think all the characters in this movie need more character development. They need more work on their arcs, more of a clear arc, so to speak, and just more exploration of the themes of the movie for sure. Like I said, the pharmaceutical thing could have been explored more. The whole grief and backstory, maybe some more arcs with like Zora's or Duncan's characters could have been explored, or hell, maybe the family could have been a bit more interesting. But just in general, more character development. Um, and then thinking too, some of the situations with like characters too, they just get really lucky. Now there's a pretty decent amount of people that die in this movie, which is fine. But some sequences I do have to kind of question like, how did they actually survive that? Like the T Rex where he's chasing down the family. In my opinion, is not really like I don't really like that scene too much, just because the T Rex was be honest here. Like he should have ate at least one of the family members. Which is be honest, he should have ate the boyfriend at least. Um, I just felt it was a little bit silly of a scene. Like it's intense and it's a cool scene, but at the same time it's a bit silly. It's like the T Rex can't even capture one. Come on now. And there's even a part where like he like eats like a raft, and like for whatever reason the raft is still intact and usable after he chewed on it. Like what? That's a very tough and reliable raft. Like what kind of material is that made out of? And I would have liked to know more about the island too. I think would have been, like I said, some background would have been nice. I mean, some of the Jurassic Park movies include a little bit of background, and I think, like I said, more history, a little bit more lore, not like an exposition dump, but maybe some background knowledge, some like maybe just some scenes where characters are talking about like what is this facility? Oh, it was this and this and this. Like that's where you could have really had like that corporate bad guy really come in and explain things to people, which he doesn't really do in the movie, sadly. But yeah. And the movie dude just kind of randomly ends. It reminds me a lot of Jurassic Park 3, ironically, where they just kind of fly away and they just kind of talk. Same thing with this. So I do think that the ending with the dolphins was a really nice touch. And of course that Jurassic Park theme at the end. Also, quick side note, I thought the soundtrack was also pretty solid. It didn't blow me away, but was a really solid for a Jurassic Park movie. So yeah, other than that, off the top of my head, I do think too some of the deleted scenes should have been added back in, just to give more context to some of the events in the movie. But other than that, I think this movie is pretty decent. I didn't walk out thinking this movie was great or like really good. I thought it was just a pretty decent Jurassic Park movie. It has some things that work for it, and it does go back to like basics, but definitely has some problems. Like I wish there was more character development. Also, a point I forgot to mention, I do wish there was more like the story took more risk and there was more interesting plot developments, because the movie does feel like it plays it really safe. Like I said, this is very much a back to formula, back to basics Jurassic Park movie, which I'm not sure if it was like an overreaction to Dominion, but I do feel like whenever they make the next Jurassic Park, I want a more adventurous story, something that takes more risk with the story, but doesn't have, like I said, a goofy plot like in Dominion. Hell, I wouldn't even mind the idea of them exploring more about the dinosaurs in our natural, like in our real life environment, but actually focus on them. Maybe, like I said, a story that takes more risk and has more character development and all these things, I think could have really benefited this movie. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a pretty average dinosaur film. Nothing crazy, nothing amazing. It's just kind of middle of the road, pretty decent. All right, y'all, so I just want to give you my quick thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth, and just kind of want to give you my off-the-dome reaction to it. All right, y'all, have a nice day. Peace.